one of the things that we do at McCann is we do a global. We have this thing called Truth Well Told. So we have global studies on truth, and one of the truth studies we did a few years ago was the truth about youth, and it was a qual and quant interview of, I believe, about 13,000 people between the ages of 18 and 24 across many different countries. And then it picked up those similarities within that age group, the things that they were driven by, the values that were coming through, all of those kinds of things. And one was the return of family values, so the importance of looking after each other, the importance of participating and being part of being part of change. Whereas if you'd done this, well, we did do the study a little bit earlier, and it was all about the 15 minutes of fame, and it was about being seen and about being known as being different and so forth. A whole lot of stuff has started coming back about the importance of connection, the importance of participation, the importance of not being, and I mentioned this earlier, but the importance of not having so many bloody rules about everything. And so I think one of the biggest challenges remains the massive difference between those generations. And we talk about the millennials and we talk about Generation X and Y and so forth, but regardless of what those behaviours are, for me, it's the most important things is the needs that those different generations have, and the fact that as leaders we really need to engage in each of those need states to be able to produce an effective working community within the organisation, but also better lives outside of the organisation. So, I've had a couple of things recently which have just really floored me. I had one employee who refused a pay rise because he wanted extra learning. So he said, can you please take that money and can I please do this course? Now that for me is really interesting. We have young people who find it quite comfortable to ring me on a Sunday afternoon because they've had a thought about how the business should be run. Now I could get annoyed at that, or I could have the conversation and be engaged in a way that makes them feel as though they're part of something, and I get to learn something new as well. The stick and carrot has changed dramatically, but when you look back on the other generations within the workforce, it hasn't changed. They still want the steady, they want the performance reviews every 3 months. The younger ones tend to want a conversation over a cup of coffee, and they want it every 2 weeks. So I think that's a huge thing that needs to be considered, and I think that leadership over the next 10 years, I think, is going to be really difficult. I think it's going to be quite confusing. I think it's going to be test and learn. I think there's going to be more, and part of that, which goes on to my second point, is managing the pace of change, especially with technology. I think, and also managing the pace of change in terms of bright, shiny objects, because if I look at the last couple of years and I look at myself and I look at the workforce, every couple of weeks there's, oh, look at that, that's amazing, we should go do that. And so I look at the massive amount of investment that's been made from an infrastructure point of view on technology that has changed every 3 to 6 months, and it's a massive waste. It's a massive waste, and I think we have not I don't think we've got the root cause right, or the root reason for why we are making these things. We just go, oh, that's cool because that does that neat swipey thing and it tells me that I'm late. And I think the outtake from that is we're losing that human connection, and we're thinking because we're putting feedback into a computer that's enough for people to feel engaged, and it's not. You have a one-on-one conversation with someone and you will learn so much more than sitting in your office writing your version of how they are or how they are not performing. I tried something a few years ago which was really interesting, which was I removed all holidays and sick leave. And so traditionally in New Zealand you get 4 weeks holiday and you get 10 days sick leave. So I had started a business in which I removed all of that. So no one had sick leave, no one had holiday. It was self-discretionary. You worked out what you needed to do. And it was really interesting because I had a workforce of 30 people who were, I believe I was the oldest, so I think I was the oldest at about 34, and our sick leave reduced by up to 50%. Some people took, I think the most that was taken was nearly 6 weeks holiday, and the least that was taken was me, which was at about 2 weeks holiday. But you self-managed, and when you were stressed out, you sent an email saying, guys, I need a couple of days out. And it was really interesting because we were so much happier, and I think that's what I mean by rules, is why do you want to be told you're only allowed 10 days to be sick? I mean, that's bloody stupid. And also, if you really need time out, you have a conversation with your peers and your partners within the organisation and go, look, I'm not coping at the moment, or I've done so well over the last couple of weeks, I'm going to take some time out and go sit on a beach. Are you all right with that? And you can pretty much guarantee that, and this is exactly what happened, is the people who were taking too much time, it became self-monitoring. So I didn't have to say anything because their co-workers would call them up on it and say, hey, you took a holiday a couple of months ago for 2 weeks. It doesn't seem right because I haven't had a chance to have some time out. And then most of the time that person would go, I'm really sorry, I hadn't even thought about it. I can stop this one. Why don't you have some time out? I'll pick up your stuff. And you go, my God, in terms of those pods of people looking after each other, again, work's not the most important thing. Life becomes the most important thing. And again, I'm not using that as an example of what works brilliantly, because it was just something that we tried. But I do think, again, I go back to the truth about youth, is that one of the key things that came out is that participation and that need to be part of decision making and so forth. Open it up, put it out there, let people be part of that conversation, and I believe we will be pleasantly surprised by the decisions that are made.